Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 4 to 5. I'm Eric Chilton alongside Lauren Coleman, Stacey Spivey, and Monique Robinson.
Happy Monday to you, whether you're watching at home, WFOY News 2 on air, Fire Stick, Roku, and the WFOY News 2 app.
Now let's go ahead and get to our top story this afternoon. Traffic is flowing smoothly again on I-40 after multiple cars crashed on the highway near Harper Road in Forsyth County.
Deputies said the crash involved 13 to 14 cars. As you can see, the time of the crash, there were no other vehicles on the highway, only emergency crews. Traffic was diverted off Harper Road exit until crews were able to reopen a lane for traffic. The road reopened just before 11 a.m. Officials say the crashes were related to icy road conditions, but no serious injuries were reported.
We're working to figure out what happened to this car in Winston-Salem where a driver had to be extracted from the crash. The fire department tweeted the video showing a car overturned over a ledge in the 250 block of Old Greensboro. Crews successfully helped the person escape the wreckage, but we don't know if the weather was the cause of this crash or if the other person in the car was injured.
Despite the slick conditions, Guilford County schools went on time today. Thankfully, everyone made it to school safe. There was one incident where a bus slid off the road. School leaders say the bus was headed to Northern Elementary School. Around 7:30 this morning, a bus driver hit a slippery patch on Lashley Court. 10 students were on board and no one was hurt. The students were put on another bus and taken to school or had their parents pick them up, who then took them to school.
All right, so Monique, temperatures warmed up a little bit to turn this around to cold rain, but now everybody's thinking about refreezing tonight. What's it looking like?
Yes, that's certainly a possibility for some wet spots out there, but for the most part, not really a concern as we go into tonight, as a lot of that stuff melted earlier today and wiped its way out. What we're seeing here is this loop over the last several hours where you can see how that area of low pressure made its way north. We had a lot of freezing rain to start the day, and then that system continued to move northward, and now we're just dealing with some patchy, scattered showers across our area. A lot of reports across the area of light glazes on trees and bushes, and I in fact saw that as soon as I came into our parking lot here. I saw some of the bushes having that light icy glaze, so you can see not significant accumulation across the area. I mean, most of these are less than 1/10 of an inch of ice, so we're not talking significant totals. So as we went through today, a lot of that stuff is melting and shouldn't really be too much of a concern tomorrow. But in some areas, as these temperatures continue to fall, we will see some patchy black ice across the area. Now, 36 is the current temperature in Greensboro, but it feels nearly 5 degrees colder than that. A lot of places in that same story where it just is very cold. And as we go into tonight, it's going to be even colder. The good news is, as we move through this upcoming week, we're going to have a lot of mild 50s out there. I mean, the temperature is nearly dancing around feeling like spring towards the end of the week. I'll tell you more about it coming up.
The homeless population in Forsyth County is at a record high, specifically for those living on the streets permanently. That's according to the United Way of Forsyth County. The United Way says right now they have an estimated 250 people living on the streets in Forsyth County. They say that number pre-pandemic was about 30 to 80 people at any given time. Senior Director of Housing Strategies with the United Way of Forsyth County, Andrea Kurtz, blames the pandemic and housing market. She says with the eviction moratorium ending and rent continuously going up, these people can't compete with a very tight housing market.
There's a stereotype that people who are homeless aren't working, but many of our homeless folks are actually working right now. And the issue isn't that they're not working. The issue is they can't find housing that they can afford with the jobs that they have.
Kurt says their shelters are still operating at COVID capacity, but to meet winter demand, they have 2 overflow shelters and a white flag shelter currently running. However, with all those options, Kurt says they're still seeing more than 200 people outside on the streets. That's why the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office is collecting zero temperature sleeping bags in partnership with the United Way. They already have 54, but need your help collecting enough for every homeless person.
One homeless is too many, and we're going to do what we can to do the best we can for this community. We are our brother's keeper. And with this weather, we need to take care of each other. And this is a way we can do it.
If you want to donate a sleeping bag, you can drop one off at the Sheriff's Office or donate through the United Way website. And we have a link to that on our website, WFMYnews2.com. So those numbers to hear, before the pandemic, only about 30 to 80 people living on the streets. Now it's 250, which is crazy to think about. So if you have the capability or ability to go and buy a sleeping bag, I saw some on Amazon for I think like $40 something. Just go grab one. It would really, really help someone out.
What really stuck out to me about this was the soundbite when she said a lot of our homeless people are working, but they can't afford the housing. And I think when people think homeless, they think, oh, you know, they're just down on their luck, or they're
Not
lazy,
employed,
or
right.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
they're just doing whatever. But it's like times are tough, and especially during this pandemic, and you know, the house, you know, housing going up and all that kind of stuff. We're probably going to see this become even worse.
And it makes me think of, you know, it takes, my dad used to say it takes money to make money, which is true, but you have to have a down payment on an apartment.
Absolutely.
You have to have that initial little bump, and even if you're working, but I can't imagine when you walk out, and all of us that are spoiled to have a place to go, you walk out at night and you think this is so cold. Imagine sleeping in that, like a whole different ballgame.
You can die in those temperatures.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
can
you
actually
can.
die in those temperatures, and how they have the overflow shelters. And with COVID-19, I've spoken to some shelters that said staffing shortages have made it difficult too. So they're doing what they can, but if this homeless population increases, there's going to be even more people
worse.
out on the streets.
Exactly, and that's what Kurtz was saying. You know, we have to fix this housing market somehow. I don't know what the answer would be, but she said if we don't do something to change it in Forsyth County, those numbers are going to continue to go up, and we just don't have the shelter capacity for them.
Donate those sleeping bags.
Yeah,
Let's do
this
it.
will help them. Right now, it's an immediate need, and of course, all that information is on our website.
Great job, Stacy. All right, well, Winston-Salem fire officials have started their investigation into the Weaver fertilizer plant fire. Crews are on site cleaning the area, and city leaders warn residents to stay out of Muddy Mill and Monarchus creeks because of potentially harmful chemicals in the water. Last night, officials reduced the evacuation zone to 275 feet around the plant. North Cherry Street remains closed from North Point Boulevard to Progress Lane. Leaders plan to update the public on the fire this Wednesday at 10 a.m.
A High Point man is dead after he was shot to death this morning at an ATM. Police got a call around 12:30 about the incident at the Snack Corner store on East Green Drive. When officers arrived, they say they found Rodney Rhodes with a gunshot wound in his chest. Officers say they tried to save his life, but he died on scene. They say Rhodes was killed during an armed robbery. He was with a friend when he was shot.
Yes.
Shot him.
I don't know. I don't know these people. I just heard freeze, don't move. I was going to the ATM, and they took my money and everything.
The friend told the operator the robbers were wearing black masks covering their entire faces. High Point police tell us they're now searching for two suspects believed to be between the ages of 18 and 25 years old. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers at 336-889-4000.
We've seen another nice decline in COVID hospitalizations over the weekend. The state says there are just over 4,000 people with COVID in hospitals statewide, as 458 fewer patients in the state reported on Friday. It's easy to see the nice progress this number has made over the past few days. Today's day-over-day decrease is 11th in a row. Our numbers are now in line with the numbers we're seeing on January 10th, nearly a month ago.
Greensboro Transit Agency will begin offering free COVID testing starting tomorrow. GTA will provide oral swab PCR tests in the meeting room at the J. Douglas Galen Depot on East Washington Street. Testing will be on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Test results will be sent electronically within 3 days, and you'll just need a photo ID and an insurance card if you have it. An appointment isn't needed, but it would help you get through the process much faster. Guilford County still remains under a mask mandate after Guilford County commissioners decided to wait to make any possible changes last week. Commissioners met with health leaders to get updates on metrics and will assess the mandate again next Thursday. The mandate is in place until the 27th unless the commissioners take action sooner. We'll be right back. A huge surprise for Winston-Salem State University's men's golf team. United Airlines has granted the team a $10,000 travel grant. PGA Tour pro Billy Horschel shared the news with the team, and WFMY News 2's photojournalist Brian Hall shares the excitement with us and what the team plans to do with all that money.
It's a tremendous award to have, or granted, money's granted to us. Now you're able to take athletes, you're able to go see recruits that aren't around the area, but you also, like in the fall when these new recruits come in, we get a chance to explore going to some tournaments that will give them a little bit more competition to get them ready for conference play.
It's huge for us. I mean, it's just a huge blessing to the program and to all of us as students and athletes here. It's just going to open up opportunities for me and everybody a part of the team, and we're looking forward to it.
Where HBCUs are historically under-resourced and don't have the revenue that generate like our bigger schools, it makes everything a lot easier. It allows us to go out there and perform and get recruits that can make us championship winning programs, so that way more sponsors, more money can come into the program, especially with golf. I mean, we're not a money generating sport, so we're not going to have galleries of 60,000 a week coming to our tournament. So to have these funds for non-money generating sports is everything. Their contributions are going to inspire and change the golf world for every golfer that comes to Winston-Salem, but to all the HBCUs who will be receiving the United Airlines grant.
Actually, 51 golf teams at HBCUs received grants. NCA&T and NCCU also received grants of their own. I think this is so important. I'm not a golfer, but I know that people that golf absolutely love it, and it's almost like therapeutic for them to go out there on the course with their friends, maybe even by themselves. And I know it's just a really loved sport.
Well, and it's not looked at as like a big Division I primary, you know, it's not a baseball, football, basketball kind of thing. And so the more that sport can get some love is a good, I mean, it's a very popular sport across our country, but it's not given the love at the universities.
Yeah, I'm glad they're getting this money, because when I was reading more about it, it said that Winston-Salem State's golf program came back in the fall for the first time in like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And due to like budgeting with travel, they were only able to go to one like tournament. So with these funds, they're going to be able to recruit more talent, get these kids to go to bigger competitions, so they can, you know, start to build their career professionally.
And be exposed to all that, you know.
And get mentorship too from that, because they're going to meet different people along the way. So I think that this is really awesome, and they'll probably get a lot more people interested in going to that school to play golf there.
Good for them. That's incredible.
Oh, awesome. All right, we'll take a short break. Talk to us on Facebook, and we'll be right back. So, today in my stories, I wanted to talk a little bit about genealogy or researching your family tree. So, the High Point Museum is hosting some programs on this topic. So, I reached out to get the scoop from them. I spoke with Marcellus Joyner. He's the supervisor for the Heritage Research Center at the museum about how he used social media to help his research for his family. Take a look. So Marcellus, this is really fun for me because I literally, about 3 months ago, started this journey myself. So talk a little bit about how we can use social media to further our research in our family tree.
I found that using social media, you have genealogical societies that are represented there, historical institutions as well. But you also have family pages in which people have created. And that's where I guess your bread and butter would be, so to speak, because you are able to reach out to a broader aspect of your family.
So if you're talking with someone about, they're starting that journey, you would say, yes, go ahead and do the Ancestry.com and kind of get that started, but this allows you to branch out. Did you find groups of your family that you weren't aware of that even existed?
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, when I was talking about the work that you do prior to using social media to further your journey, I connected with family through some of the traditional aspects of genealogy, exchanging information and finding that we were very close in relation. And then we, talked and said, well, let's start a family page.
So if you're talking to someone and they're starting their journey, tell them what you think the first step would be, and then what is probably the best way to go to that next level.
If you've done no research at all, just zero research, you would start with a pedigree chart, which is something that you use to do a straight line trace of your lineage from yourself to your mother and father, your mother's father and father, so on and so forth. The next level would be to begin using such resources as Family Search, Ancestry.com, or MyHeritage.com.
This is great stuff, Marcellus. Thank you very much. I will continue my journey, my friend. Lots of good advice from him. I would have never thought social media, but he said those genealogy pages and family pages that people have created on all types of social media led him in other directions, not just the paid Ancestry.com and that type of thing.
Social media is a great way to find out about other family members, because I've had people reach out to me and be like, I'm your cousin. And then I ask my mom, like, who is this? And I find out that's like a fifth cousin or someone down the line. Or like even my father's side of the family, my father didn't find out who his father was till he was an adult. So that half of my family I'm not as familiar with or don't know certain individuals, and I'll have people, with the last name Coleman reach out to me and being like, we're cousins. And then I'll do some research and I'll find out that's a part of me that I didn't know about.
Have you looked into that yet? Have you done the whole?
I haven't done it. My husband has for his side of the family, so we know about all of that. I really been wanting to, but I'm curious, have y'all ever gone on Facebook and just searched your name before?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I do that all the time.
I did too.
I'm just curious to see what pops up. There's so many Lauren Colemans too.
Yeah, and I was looking to see, are there any other Stacey Spivies or what other Spivies are out there that I don't know?
So a long time ago, it was probably 10 years ago, whenever Facebook first started, I went on there and I searched Eric Chilton, and there's probably 7 or 8 that I found immediately. So I sent them all invites, and we started a page called We Are Eric Chilton.
No, you serious?
Yes, and then it went away. I don't know if
Chilton.
it's still around. I don't look at it anymore, but it was hilarious. And one guy's a lawyer in Indiana, and he and I are always competing for I wanted EricChilton.com, and he got it before I did. And
so you had to get .net.
Wait,
yeah, that's right.
I know an Eric Chilton from my hometown.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Yeah, and his nephew's name is Drew.
Which is my youngest kid's name. Holy cow, I did not know that. Well, I do know there are Chiltons in Arkansas. I mean, there's a lot. We have traced back to several different, it's Virginia and Texas and Arkansas and then the Indiana area. That's where all of our relatives
Yeah, Spivey's definitely Arkansas, Texas, it seems like. But so I had a viewer here email me wanting to know if I was related to them. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure.
I get that pretty often too. Everywhere I move, people will email me, are you kin to so-and-so? And I'm like, oh, my family are from South Carolina, and then I was living in Mississippi at the time, Tennessee, and even here, people will still ask if I'm related to
my friends
Colemans.
That are from the north make fun of me because all us, we Southerners say, are you kin to so-and-so? And they say, are you related to? And they didn't know. So what did you just say? Never mind. It's a Southern thing. We'll be right back. Stay there.
Alrighty then, we started out our day with freezing rain. Things ended with a chilly rain. And on our Wake Forest camera, you can see that slushiness you're seeing is the freezing rain. And then once it transitioned into just regular old rain, we started to see those droplets form on our camera view. And that continues as of now. Now, I mentioned earlier the possibility of patchy fog, but another thing to watch out for tonight, especially overnight going into your Tuesday, is the possibility of some fog across our area that could really reduce visibility. So any drivers, this is showing you that you'll roughly be able to see around 3.5 miles out ahead of you, which is certainly something to just be mindful of if you plan to be out late night or really early tomorrow morning. But as we continue through the day, that fog will definitely just move its way out and give way to sunshine across our area. That area of low pressure moving well to the north of us and high pressure settling in. The good thing about high pressure, well, it brings good weather, and that's what we expect to see for tomorrow, for your Wednesday or Thursday, and even on Friday. As that high pressure settles its way in, it will allow for those temperatures to certainly warm up. You'll see this temperature trend on the rise all the way through Saturday. Those numbers getting around those upper 50s across the area. And take a look here, though, after Saturday, those temperatures take a tumble back down to those very cold numbers, including on Valentine's Day. That temperature high in the low 40s, unseasonably cold once again to start out next week.
She's known as Lady Blues, Miss Billie Holiday. Today on U Day, Coach Lamont shares words of wisdom from this legend as she reminds us of the epic comeback that lives within all of us.
Singer Billie Holiday once said, "People always tell me I'm making a comeback, but nobody ever tells me where I've been. No one will ever understand your comeback story like you do. You have overcome many setbacks, yet you found the faith to pull yourself up from mediocre to prominence. Wherever life has taken you and whatever obstacles were waged against you, it was not powerful enough to prevent your comeback story. Getting knocked down is part of life, and all of us have faced that reality at some point in our lives. What I've learned is the staying down that robs us of our comeback and will alter our thinking, where the ground becomes greater than the ceiling. This is your comeback. You have a story to tell. This is Coach Lamont. Make today your best U Day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
Welcome back. Good afternoon. I'm Lauren Coleman here with Monique Robinson, Stacy Spivey, and Eric Chilton.
Welcome to everybody, of course, watching us right here on WFMY News 2. Don't forget, we're also on Fire Stick, Roku, and our app as well.
Let's go ahead and get started with your 4 to 5 roundup. The Guilford County Democratic Party will host a meeting to discuss filling the seat for the late Commissioner Carolyn Coleman. The party is asking anyone interested in running for District 7 to email a 100-word bio and photo to gcdpchair@guilforddems.org. Commissioner Coleman served nearly 20 years representing District 7 of Pleasant Garden and East Greensboro. Coleman was laid to rest last week. She was 79 years old. The federal civil rights trial of 3 former Minneapolis police officers is back in the courtroom today after a COVID delay. The 3 officers are accused of depriving Floyd of his rights when they failed to give him medical aid. 2 of the officers are also accused of failing to intervene after kneeling on Floyd's back, holding his legs and keeping bystanders back. So far, prosecution has called 2 experts to the stand. Meanwhile, another protest in Minneapolis as people call for justice after a man was shot and killed by a SWAT team during a no-knock raid last week. A car caravan of protesters traveled through the city Sunday night, and protesters took to the streets on Saturday for Amir Locke. Body cam video shows the SWAT team using a key to enter Amir Locke's apartment. Officers are then heard shouting in the video with their guns drawn. In the video, a gun can be seen in Locke's hand before an officer shot him 3 times and killed him. The entire incident happened in about 9 seconds. The officers were not looking for Locke, and his name was not on the warrant. Frontier Airlines will merge with Spirit Airlines. The nearly $3 billion deal gives Frontier the controlling stake. A new name hasn't been decided yet, but the low-budget carriers will become the 5th largest airline in the U.S.
Most days we're saying, Boone, it's so cold there, and today they are in fact warmer than us. 42 was the high in Boone, 36 here in Greensboro, nearly 6 degrees warmer than us. We were all, though, still very cold for this time of year. We should be in the 50s. And today we even had some rain across the area. As you all know, we've seen freezing rain, then we've seen some chilly rain across the area. Most of those rainfall totals not too significant, and that's why that patchy black ice is possible, but not likely across everywhere. The current temperature in Greensboro is 36 degrees. That rain does continue. These winds coming out of the north-northeast at 6 miles per hour. And as those dew points fall, as we go and continue to stay in those 30s and those temperatures fall tonight, that is why we could possibly see fog across our area. That area of low pressure moving out of the picture, and that's allowing for high pressure to settle in, keeping us dry and quiet for most of this work week. Now, as we go into the weekend, there's a big old fat question mark on the forecast as to what we can expect to see. But as you all know, we are just too far away for us to know the fine-tuned details. But there is a possibility of either rain or snow to start out next week, or we could be just completely dry. But I do know those temperatures are forecast to fall.
In exactly 1 week, millions of people will celebrate Valentine's Day. If you're thinking of surprising your special someone with a bouquet of flowers, local florists say you better act fast. Tracy Wilson is the owner of Blossoms Florist and Bakery in Jamestown. She says throughout 2021, her shop saw a shortage in various flowers like lilies and roses. With supply chain issues and recent inclement weather, she says customers can expect to pay more for flowers this Valentine's Day.
I would say a good 20% increase across the board. Probably what you're seeing, the same as what you're seeing at the grocery store, because everything is being shipped. So those shipping charges are being transferred to our wholesalers and being transferred to us. So therefore, it comes out in the cost of the product.
Wilson says the price of roses, a popular Valentine's Day flower, has increased this year. Instead of buying a dozen roses, she recommends mixing floral arrangements to help drive down the price. But her biggest piece of advice, plan to get your orders in early.
So Valentine's Day falls the day after Super Bowl Sunday, and we know you guys are going to be focused on the ball game, which is great. But when you see those FTD commercials, please call your local florist, and we will be glad to take care of you.
Wilson says her shop will do its best to accommodate last-minute orders.
Well, from flowers to chocolates, I want you to take a look at these fancy and these store-bought gift boxes. Are the cheaper versions just as good as the box that's $50? Consumer Reports tested them out. I gotta tell you, it was not their favorite assignment.
No, it was not a dream job. Actually, some chocolates that have very good reputations are really terrible chocolates.
Okay, I just have to say, chocolate taster does not sound like a bad job to
It
me.
doesn't.
No, why would you complain about that? Come on.
That's what I thought. I was like, even if you're eating those high-priced chocolates that didn't taste so good, I'm like, that's okay, right?
Yeah, because you got good ones that you got to taste as
You got
well.
good ones,
Yeah.
okay. So I want to ask you, are you fancy chocolate eaters, or are you like the everyday, I want to eat it out of the vending machine chocolate eaters?
As long as they taste good,
you don't care.
I don't really care.
I don't like bitter dark chocolate, so I stay away from that. But I can do either.
I would say I'm kind of middle of the road. Like, I don't care to have the really expensive ones, but I can tell when they're cheap, and I really wouldn't. I'd rather not eat the cheap ones.
Yes, and I can understand that. All right, so when it comes to celebrations like birthdays, Valentine's Day, anniversaries, should the chocolate gift be a step up from what you buy at the grocery store, or does it not matter if you like it?
It better be a step
I
up.
think as far as the presentation goes, it should be a step up because you don't want to give someone a Reese's cup, you know, just
like in the orange bag.
In the orange bag, but you want to make it look fancy. Like, I put some thought and energy to this. No, I forgot it was Tanya's birthday. Let me go to the vending machine
and get you
these,
some.
What if you take the Reese's
for it.
cup and just make it look really fancy?
Well, what if it's a Valentine's Day themed Reese's cup?
I mean,
Well,
I think
that's different.
That's a little bit
if
better.
it's their favorite candy.
That's right. Like if it's the Reese's Heart or something like that. Okay, I get all that. All right. So let's look at those fancy box chocolates, though. Consumer Reports tested all of these and found.
A really good chocolate is going to be shiny. It's not going to be dull. It's going to be snappy as opposed to sort of waxy or chewy. And in terms of flavor, sugar is not the first thing you should taste when biting into a good chocolate.
The testers described Godiva's signature chocolate truffles gift box as chewy and waxy, and evaluators called Harry and David's signature chocolate truffles plasticky and chalky. So how about we look at Consumer Reports' top picks? Dandelion Chocolate, a company based in San Francisco. This pick, the single origin truffle collection, it's already sold out, but they have other options. How about wooing that foodie in your life with the Vosges Hot Chocolate Exotic Truffle Collection? It includes fresh tasting flavors like wasabi, macadamia nut, olive oil, and curry. And one last top pick, the Formosa Bonbon Box. It has a lot of shiny, pretty chocolates, and you can even choose between gluten-free, vegan, and alcohol-free options.
We were at dinner. Oh.
Hello.
We up?
That's my
Hello,
queen.
Facebook.
So Facebook, the question is chocolates.
Let's talk about it.
Are you a
Chocolates for
chocolate
Valentine's.
person or a flower person for Valentine's Day?
Ooh.
My wife is flowers.
I love chocolate.
Why not both?
Both is nice, and flowers are beautiful, but you know, I'm not that responsible when it comes to like watering them and stuff, so I prefer like the chocolates, the teddy bears, things like that.
What about chocolate shaped like flowers? That'd be the perfect.
Yeah.
There you go.
I
That's
mentioned
right
this on
on.
air, I think last week, but like honestly, one time I had
Edible
Jake got me.
Oh, I love the
those are
edible
good.
arrangement.
He got me
Those
a
are bomb.
heart-shaped pizza from
Oh,
Domino's,
I love that.
and
I
I
love
loved it.
See, anything edible, I'm all about.
This show is cursed to talk about food because it's too close to dinner.
Seriously,
I
though.
think that's why we do it.
That
My
has to be
social
why.
post is about food. It's about to make you guys really hungry.
Okay, Bobby says dark chocolate is really good for a common cold.
It's good for your. It's
I've
good
heard
to
that
eat.
too.
That's
Dark
awesome.
chocolate is good to eat at the end of your meal because it does something to your taste buds and it makes you
Aperitif or whatever.
not hungry anymore.
I've heard
So-
that about pickles.
Yeah, that's
same
why they're
thing?
on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good to have like a little piece of dark
love
chocolate, like
pickles.
85% cocoa, the dark ones.
Yeah.
That's the bitter one, though.
The bitter ones, but it's supposed to help you with your appetite.
I like dark chocolate.
I can tolerate it, but I don't like the super, like the 95%.
This is so bitter.
Yeah.
My kid gave me those caramel M&Ms the other night. And have you seen that? It's just, it's an M&M chocolate, but it's got a soft caramel center. Oh my God.
Oh, that sounds so good.
I like anything that has like a peanut in it or a walnut or.
Have y'all ever had chocolate covered coffee beans?
I have not. You eat it like a chocolate covered peanut or something?
Yeah.
Yes, and it is so good.
It's really, really good.
So
You can't eat. Queen Elizabeth is celebrating 70 years on the throne. The Queen is now the longest reigning monarch in British history. Queen Elizabeth first took hold of the throne in 1952, sadly after her father's death. But now she's looking ahead to what comes next, saying when her son, Prince Charles, becomes king, his second wife, Camilla, should have the title of Queen Consort. But for now, she remains on the job, and she is 95 years old. I love the Queen. There was a video for her celebration. She had a cake, and the logo was facing away from her, and she was like, why is it facing that way? And they were like, well, so the press can like take video of it. And she was like, oh, I just don't matter, do I? But she was like joking about it. So
yeah,
cute.
she matters.
I had tea with the Queen when I was in 5th grade with my Girl Scout troop. I have a picture with her, and I'm wearing a crown, and my sister is next to us.
Wait a minute.
Wait, what?
That's not true.
I have a picture with the Queen.
Where were you?
Queen Elizabeth?
I was at the Wax Museum
in
England. But it really looks very real and like
I was about to start panicking.
When I came back from my trip, I was telling people in school because I was in 5th grade at the time. I was like, yeah, I had tea with the Queen, and they were like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, oh, it's wax.
Our producer Tasha Mayer, oh my gosh, she was like flipping out.
I'll have to bring you guys and show you that picture. It's at my parents' house, so I had them take a picture of it.
Have you been to England?
You guys.
Yeah.
Have you been? Did you go to Buckingham Palace and do the whole thing?
Yeah,
well,
I
didn't go inside. I didn't go inside. I was just outside, just like hoping I would run into Prince Harry.
Outside
I was hoping to run into Prince Harry at the time. He was still single, and so was I.
You just scooped him up.
What if you're just standing out there and the guards are like, who's this blonde over here? Won't
hi,
leave?
like throwing rocks at his window, like, hi.
Security.
Right. I say, get her out of here, please, quickly. Escort her to the left. Oh my gosh.
It didn't work out, but there's always hope. Baylor and Prince George.
That's
and
right.
There's Prince Louis too.
You just want to be a part of the royal family if
She
any way
does.
possible.
She knows all about it.
Too much. Way
Come
too
get
much.
the blonde at the gate, please, quickly. All right. Earlier in the show, we talked about researching your family tree and some helpful tools that you can use. Sorry, I've lost control here. But if you were adopted, think about this. There can be some really unique challenges with this. I spoke with Sarah Blanchett with the High Point Museum about her unique journey that still continues to this day. Take a look. Sarah, I'm fascinated by this. In fact, I'm doing my own search as we speak with family lineage, finding things out I never knew about. How did you get started doing this? What was like your first step and why do it?
Well, first step, I'm adopted, so that is the biggest thing to uncover is, self-discovery. Who am I? And so I've always known I was adopted, and I've always known that I would eventually start the process of finding my biological family. And so that's really what prompted it.
Did it lead you toward, did you just see a lot of names once you started researching this? And you're like, oh, okay, that's my family lineage.
So 23andMe alerts you every time you receive more DNA relatives. And so when I first did it, it alerted me that I had a slew of DNA relatives from second cousins all the way up to sixth cousins. And all of them, of course, have similar last names or different last names. That was a little overwhelming. But what really made it important was that it alerted me to the presence of my half-brother, which I already knew I had half-siblings out there somewhere. But the fact that he was able to do 23andMe years before that I did was really helpful in connecting with him.
When you do presentations like this with the High Point Museum, what do you want people to take away?
I want people to understand first and foremost that I do not speak on behalf of all adopted children, that this is, my story and my journey, but also that genealogy is something that you have to have a lot of patience for. There are a lot of roadblocks for adopted children because they don't have the luxury of knowing the basic information that people usually do on their birth certificates. I didn't know what time I was born. I didn't know how much I weighed. I didn't even know my original name until I sent out for my unofficial birth certificate. And so that's the first step I would suggest, is to go to whatever state you were born and look for your unofficial birth certificate.
Well, this is great. A lot of people will follow your lead. You're doing a good thing. Thanks, Sarah, for your time today.
How awesome is that?
I know. And she's still searching, right? So she said, I have found an address where my real mother lived at the time that I was born.
Wow.
And so she's trying to piece that together. She said the trouble is that her mother's name is so common that she goes, you could find hundreds of people with that name. So she's trying to pair that up with property records and then find her real mom.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, like, when people are adopted and they don't know their history. I mean, anytime there's something medical related, they ask you about your family history, and if you don't know, you have none of that information. I can't imagine.
And it's just where to start, where do you even begin? I mean, I think a lot of people, some people hire like private detectives or people to at least help them get the ball rolling
What
to
was
get
that
it started.
show? You know the show with the guy? It was like called, I want to say The Closer, but that's not it.
They would help them
Yes.
Oh, I
find.
think I remember that.
I loved
Yes.
that show, and he would help. The thing I loved, he would help them. In fact, we talked about that after the interview. She and I did. She said that was one of the things that sparked her search. But he would help them find their parent or parents, and then he would just walk away and let them have their time.
Because that's a big task to take off
Oh, yeah.
on an individual, because it's like having the patience to sort through all those names, or that would be kind of difficult. So to know there's some people there helping you.
She's on the path though. She found her half brother, so she's
That's
already
awesome.
done that, and they're talking, and so now she thinks she's really close.
And it's nice it's been so positive too, because some people don't want to be found.
Yeah.
So that they've had he's had open arms, and she's one step closer.
And just know that it's like she said, state to state, the laws are different. Sometimes they redact the names of the parents on the birth certificate, but sometimes they don't. So she said, I was just lucky that mine were still visible.
But thankful for technology these days, allowing people and social media to connect. So
Telling
cool.
you.
Can't
Love
wait
that
to
story.
see the rest of her story.
I love
That would be a great
I want to
follow-up.
follow up. Yeah, I asked her if we could talk to her if she gets that. She said absolutely.
And just
So,
going through that process of how
Yes.
this sounds like a
good.
good feature piece.
I couldn't get it out. Yes, a good story. That's what we're all about here.
They're
on
like,
the
okay, it's
Fortified.
time to
I was
go.
going to say sweeps piece, but I didn't know if they'd understand.
That's right. Can't say that. All right, we'll be back in just a minute. So the Olympics, all about the top tier competitors from all around the world. Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva showed what brought her to the games over the weekend after becoming the first woman to complete a successful quad jump. The Russian figure skater's move helped the Russian Olympic Committee earn gold in figure skating. She made history moments later by landing a second quad jump. The 15-year-old had several other jaw-dropping moves, like her quad-toe triple combination where she held her hands over her head and looked like a spinning top.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, American athletes are catching attention too, and not just in the Olympics. U.S. surfer Kelly Slater defeated his opponent at the Billabong Pro Pipeline in Hawaii. What makes the win even more exciting, Slater won days before his 50th birthday. Slater was the youngest world champion when he first won his first title at the age of 20, and then he became the oldest when he won at 39.
Keeping it in sports, Super Bowl Sunday is always a good time. Parties, overindulgence, great food, and staying up late. With the big game less than a week away, many are already in the kitchen planning for the exciting day. And it's the 4 to 5, so you know we have to talk about food. So I asked you on Facebook, what are your favorite Super Bowl party foods? Debbie Malloy says pizza and chicken wings. Sheila Sanders says pizza, rotel dip, hot dogs. Linda Houston wrote garlic Parmesan wings, spinach dip, meatballs, deviled eggs, LOL. Tony Hoover says list is too long, LOL. Pamela Vernon says any kind of dip, wings, and pigs in a blanket. Kevin Hines, nachos, wings, cheesecake, and iced tea. And Kesia Kathy wrote free. So as long as it's free.
That's funny.
That's the old, if it's free, it's for me line.
Right,
Yep,
right,
that's right. It's junk food day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it is. That's what Super Bowl Sunday should be. I'm so excited because it's my favorite. That next to the Collegiate National Basketball Championship is my favorite sporting event. Love it. Don't care who's playing. Love the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm here for the dips. I'm with Pamela, I believe, who said that. I like all of the dips. I know Costco has this really great dip where it's like 5 layers where you get cheese and it's like sour cream, then it's like some jalapenos and it's like avocado. I don't know, I'm making stuff up, but it sounds good.
5-layer dip.
Oh, that
Yeah.
Which I love.
So good.
I make a really good buffalo chicken dip. So it's basically just like rotisserie chicken, and then you have like hot sauce, then you have like cream cheese and some ranch dressing,
That
and you
sounds
just
awesome.
bake it.
All right, you bringing that in?
Seriously, I'm expecting some leftovers.
I can make
Seriously.
some. All right.
I love that.
I love cheese dip. Like, I am such a huge cheese dip lover. I could eat it every day with any kind of food. Like, it doesn't have to be Mexican food. Like, I just love it so much. And then pizza, obviously. I know a lot of people do wings for Super Bowl.
Yep, I love
Flats
wings.
or drums.
So that's not an argument, that's a discussion at my house. I do either. My wife does nothing but flats. She can't stand the drumstick.
Is that boneless?
No.
First of all, boneless is not a wing.
Yeah, that's
that is
not
a
a
chicken
wing.
nugget.
That's exactly
That is
right.
a chicken
That's
nugget.
what I eat.
That does not count. Does not count.
I'm getting hungry over here.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so things going on in the weather department have been getting drier and drier across the triad. We had some freezing rain earlier today, then ending things off with just regular old rain. And you can see on here the cloud cover kind of sticking around. Tonight, temperatures are going to fall below freezing again, 29 degrees. Tomorrow, warming back up to around the upper 40s, low 50s. And it will be breezy at times through your afternoon tomorrow. You can see starting out the day kind of fine, but then roughly 10 to 15 miles per hour. We're seeing some gusts even stronger than that at times. And kind of the same story on Wednesday. Here's a look at your full 7-day, kind of showing you what you can expect through the weekend and the start to next week.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The CDC says there are now
Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut.
An Avant Health psychologist told us failure typically happens because of mental.
Hey, I'm just hooking my stuff up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4.
My check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So it's time for my 2 cents, and today I am talking about something simple with suits. I'm talking about the pocket square. You know, it goes right here, lots of color. Now, I love them. You can see, I mean, look at all these things. I love pocket squares. They go back decades and decades, right? We've seen them since probably the 1940s they've been around. And I have a bunch of them. All kinds of colors. Sometimes I can't decide which one. Yeah, there's a lot of them here, right? But they spice up a suit to me. However, have you ever tried to fold one of these things? Ridiculously hard to get the little line. So a lot of people, and I had someone at a clothing store tell me, just stuff it in there and just kind of have it showing out a little bit like this. Fine and dandy. However, I've come up with something, ladies and gentlemen, and all you need is a piece of paper. I have folded this piece of paper in such a manner that the top of it looks like, right, like a pocket square. So when you take this piece of paper and put it in there, I'm telling you, I couldn't fold it that perfectly if I tried 800 times. Yes, I'm sure these exist, but I'm proud that I made this up. And if you don't see me here tomorrow, it's because I'm a multimillionaire from the paper pocket square. Thank you so much. That's just my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
Icy roads caused a lot of problems this morning. In Greensboro, a crash on I-40 involving more than a dozen cars caused traffic delays for hours.
Another crash in Winston-Salem left a car flipped over in between a guardrail and a building and the driver in the hospital. You can see firefighters working to get the driver